श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः श्रीमदानंदतीर्थ भगवत्पादाचार्येभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। अस्पृष्टदोषगंधाय कल्याणगुणसिन्धवे नमो नमो भक्तमुक्तिदायिने शेषशायिने शमयन् भवसन्तापं रमयन् साधुचातकान् कृष्णमेघकृपादृष्टिवृष्ट्या पुष्णातु मामपि श्रीमदानन्दतीर्थार्य पादपङ्कजरे नमः। पवित्रयन्तु मां नित्यं पापपाटनपण्डिताः शारदावासवदन शारदाम्बुर्हान्मुहुः पद्मनाभमुनीन् वन्दे सर्वशास्त्रविशारदान् मिथ्यासिद्धान्तदुर्ध्वान्त विध्वंसन विचक्षणः जयतीर्थाख्यतरणिर्भासतां नो हृदम्बरे कंसध्वंसि पदाम्बोज हंसप्तो हंसपुङ्गवः ब्रह्मण्यगुरुराजाख्यो वर्ततां मम मानसे पदवाक्यप्रमाणाप्तिविक्रीडनविशारदान् लक्ष्मीनारायणमुनीन् वन्दे विद्यागुरून् मम। श्रीमद्भाष्यस्य टीकाया जयतीर्थार्य निर्मितां गंभीरा निर्मला चेमां व्याकरिष्ये यथामति। सूत्रे भाष्येऽनुभाष्ये च संन्याय विवृतौ तथा टीकासु यदस्पष्टं तच्च स्पष्टीकरिष्यते। प्रतिसूत्रं प्रकाश्येते घटनाघटने मया स्वीयान्यपक्षयोः सम्यक् विदां कुर्वन्तु सूरयः। अर्थकल्पितकल्पोऽयं प्रत्यर्थे गजकेसरी व्यासतीर्थगुरुर्भूयात् अस्मदिष्टार्थसिद्धये। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। Sri Vyasaraja is a great saint and a remarkable scholar in the entire history of Indian philosophy. Sri Vyasatirtha's works are held to be of highest degree of intellectual achievement in the entire polemical literature which we study in Indian philosophy today. Sri Vyasatirtha's time was a time when great scholars in all the three branches of Vedanta, Dvaita, Vishishtadvaita and Advaita were prevalent. Not only with regard to the scholars of Vedanta school, there were scholars of Nyaya, Purvamimamsa, Vyakarana and other subjects as well. They had achieved a very high degree of scholarship in the late 15th century and in 16th century as well. It was a time when all the previous literature of the hoary past and even the medieval literature was studied by Pandits, and it was a time when intellectual achievements were at its heights. During this time, Sri Vyasatirtha incarnated and he represented the highest degree of achievement of intellectual acme. Particularly with regard to Dvaita Vedanta, Sri Vyasatirtha's contribution is very immense. Sri Vyasatirtha is a multifaceted personality who is like a sun who shines in the horizon of Indian philosophy forever. Three great works of Sri Vyasatirtha is praised by scholars in all the branches of learning today. Vyasatirtha has authored many other works too, but the three great works which are styled as Vyasatraya, that is Tatparya Chandrika, Tarkatandava and Nyayamrita, is held in highest degree of intellectual achievement today. These three works are not only voluminous but also represent a very high quality of criticism in a very positive sense. The kind of intellectual criticism or review which takes place in all these three works cannot be compared to any other work at all. This is because Sri Vyasatirtha examines all the previous schools that were available till then, and he gives a final conclusion as to what has to be critically reviewed and appreciated, comparing all the other schools as well. So from this perspective, the three great works, Vyasatraya, that is Tatparya Chandrika, Nyayamrita and Tarkatandava, are held in very great high esteem by all critics and scholars and even modern scholars like Professor Dasgupta. Among the three works, the Tatparya Chandrika is an important work which is a review of all the commentaries on the Brahma Sutras. In fact, the Tatparya Chandrika is in one way a commentary on the Tattva Prakashika of Sri Jayatirtha. The Tattva Prakashika of Sri Jayatirtha is in turn a commentary on the Bhashya of Sri Madhvacharya on the Brahma Sutras. So at the first instance, we have the Brahma Sutras of Sri Vedavyasa. Then as a Bhashya or the major commentary on the Brahma Sutra, it is the Bhashya of Sri Madhvacharya which we see. And on the Bhashya of Sri Madhvacharya, we have the gloss or the Tika of Sri Jayatirtha. And on this particular Tika of Sri Jayatirtha, Sri Vyasatirtha has authored the Tatparya Chandrika. So in one way, when we are studying the Tatparya Chandrika, we would be studying the three great works of all the three Munitrayas. Srimadvaha Kalpavrikshastu Jayaryaha Kamaduk Chintamanistu Vyasaryo Munitraya Mudiritam is a very popular verse. In this verse, the three great Munis have been saluted. One is Sri Madhvacharya, and the second is Sri Jayatirtha, and the third is Sri Vyasatirtha. And we find all the three works in Tatparya Chandrika. We find the work of Sri Madhvacharya's Bhashya, which is very divine. And then we have the inimitable Tika, that is the Tattva Prakashika on the Bhashya of Sri Jayatirtha, the second great Muni. Then we have the third great Muni, Sri Vyasatirtha, who has authored the Tatparya Chandrika. Together with this, we also have the commentary of Sri Raghavendra Swamigalu as the further tippani on the Tatparya Chandrika. So in one way, studying of the Tatparya Chandrika will fetch us the blessings of all the great Munis, and hence it's a very great work. So unlike the Nyayamrita and Tarkatandava, which are slightly of independent nature, the Tarkatandava is a slightly independently authored treatise, not basing upon any one particular line or text of the previous authors. Similarly, the Nyayamrita is an independently authored work, although it quotes quite profusely from the works of Sri Madhvacharya and Sri Jayatirtha. It is not a typical customary commentary on any one particular treatise. But the Tatparya Chandrika is a commentary on the Tattva Prakashika, and at the same time, it has retained its independent nature of review. So in one way, it's a commentary, it's a masterly commentary on the Tattva Prakashika, and in another way, it shows us how independent review can take place even in the disguise of a commentary. So in one way, it's a commentary, and in another way, it's an independent review of the other bhashyas. So the Tatparya Chandrika has many interesting aspects. If we even look at the invocatory verse, that is the Mangalacharanam of Sri Vyasatirtha, we can notice he begins with a salutation to Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu is acclaimed as the Sarvottama, the highest supreme independent reality, and he has been saluted as Asprushta Dosha Gandhaya Kalyana Prasindhave Namo Namo Bhakta Muktidagini Sheshashayini. He is without any defects and full of auspicious qualities. He is an ocean of auspicious qualities, and there is no single tint of defects in Vishnu. And salutations again and again has been offered to Vishnu in this verse, because he is the one who fetches us the liberation. He fetches liberation to all the devotees, and such a Vishnu is saluted upon. Further, we see Sri Vyasatirtha again offers his salutations to Sri Krishna, who is the favorite deity of Sri Vyasatirtha. Shamayan Bhavasantapam Ramayan Sadhuchatakan Krishna Megha Kripadrishti Vishtya Pushnatu Mamapi. Here, Lord Krishna is compared to a very beautiful cloud. A cloud is divinely bluish and blackish in color. Similarly, Sri Krishna is also Neela Megha Shyama, that is having a divine Indra Neela shine in him. And such a, in his compared to a cloud, similarly, just as a cloud which takes away all the tapa or the heat of the people in the world, Sri Krishna as a cloud would also take away all our tapa or the sufferings, tapatrayas, the sufferings, all the three types of sufferings in the world, Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika and Adhyatmika. Similarly, just as the clouds, when they give a downpour, as the convention of the poets goes, it is the Chataka bird which directly drinks the water of the rain clouds and gets satisfied by that. Similarly, the great scholars and good people in the world would get satisfied by the teachings of Sri Krishna and his divine blessings. And such a divine Krishna, who resembles a cloud, not just in his glamour and appearance and in complexion, but also in the quality of bestowing his blessings upon the devotees, and removing all the sufferings, and such a Lord Krishna may bless me, is the offering of salutations by Sri Vyastirtha. Sri Vyastirtha continues and offers his salutations to Sri Madhvacharya. Sri Madhvacharya's feet is a divine feet, and it has the dust which can take away all our sins. The dust which is there in the feet of Sri Madhvacharya can take away all our sins and make us very pure. And such a divine dust in the feet of Sri Madhvacharya has been saluted upon in the verse Srimadananda Tirtharya Pada Pankaja Renavaha Pavitriyantu Mam Nityam Papa Patana Panditaha. Similarly, we can observe the same sense is also there in the first verse of the Vayustuti. Srimad Vishnuvangri Nishtati Gunagurutama Srimadananda Tirtha Trilokyacharya Pado Jwalajanadasat Pamsavosman Punantu Vachamyatta Pranetri Trivanamahita Sharada Sharadendu Jyotsna Bhadrasmita Shri Dhamalita Kakuva Prema Bharam Bhamara. In the first verse of Vayustuti also, Sri Panditacharya, Sri Tirukuram Panditacharya offers his salutations to the very dust of Sri Madhvacharya's feet. Similarly, Sri Vyastirtha here offers his salutations to the dust which can purify all the sins of us. Similarly, continuing further, Sri Vyastirtha offers his salutations to Padmanabha Tirtha. Padmanabha Tirtha was the direct disciple of Sri Madhvacharya, who authored the first, or rather the one of the direct commentaries on Sri Madhvacharya's Bhashya. We should remember the direct commentary on Sri Madhvacharya's work came from two scholars. One is Sri Panditacharya, Sri Trivikrama Panditacharya, that is in the form of a commentary, that is Tattva Pradipa. And we also have the commentary of Sri Padmanabha Tirtha, which is also a direct commentary upon Sri Madhvacharya's work, that is the Brahma Sutra Bhashya. And hence, Sri Vyastirtha offers his salutations to Padmanabha Tirtha, who is also his direct guru, the guru of his lineage, and also the one who has authored the first commentary on Sri Madhvacharya's Bhashya. Sharada Vasavadana Sharadambu Ruhan Moho Padmanabha Munin Mande Sarvashatra Vishardan. Such Padmanabha Tirtha is a very great scholar in all branches of learning, and Lord Saraswati's Sannidhana, the presence of Saraswati is always there in Padmanabha Tirtha. Then we come to Sri Jayatirtha, who is the masterly commentator on all the works of Sri Madhvacharya, all the major works of Sri Madhvacharya rather. The Tattva Prakashika, upon which the Tatparya Chandrika is a commentary, has been authored by Sri Jayatirtha, and Sri Jayatirtha has been praised in this verse by Sri Vyastirtha, Mithya Siddhanta Durdhvanta, Vidvamsana Vichakshana, Jayatirtha Kyataranir Bhasatam no Hridambare. Sri Jayatirtha is compared to a sun. Just as a sun would dispel all darkness and give us light, similarly, Sri Jayatirtha dispels all the darkness of ignorance which is brought out by the antagonistic schools of thought, and he would give us the right knowledge of Vishnu, and he is compared to a Surya, the sun here, by Sri Vyastirtha. Further, Sri Vyastirtha offers his salutations to his ashrama guru, the guru who initiated him into the sannyas ashrama, Sri Brahmanya Tirtha. Kamsadvamsi Padamboja Hamsapto Hamsapangavaha Brahmanya Gururajakyo Vartatam Mamamanase. Sri Brahmanya Tirtha is a very great saint who is always engrossed in the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, and such a Brahmanya Tirtha has been saluted here. So Brahmanya Tirtha would bless Sri Vyastirtha forever for writing the masterly commentaries. Further, Sri Vyastirtha studied Dvaita Vedanta and many other great works under Sri Padaraja Guruji, who was also known as Sri Lakshmi Narayana Tirtha of Mudabagal. And Sri Vyastirtha offers his salutations next to his Vidya Guru, the Guru who taught him all the great learnings, that is Sri Padaraja. Padavakya Pramanabdi Vikridana Visharadan Lakshmi Narayana Munin Vande Vidya Gurun Mama. Sri Padaraja is a great scholar in grammar, Vyakarana, hermeneutics, Mimamsa, Purumimamsa, logic, that is Tarka, and Dvaita Vedanta as well. And he is a great scholar who can know all the limitations of the Shastras, and he would know where exactly the boundaries of the Shastras are there. Such a great scholar, he has been saluted by Sri Vyastirtha as his Vidya Guru in the Tatparya Chandrika. Further, Sri Vyastirtha gives a very clear indication that the Bhashya of Sri Madhvacharya and the Tika of Sri Jayatirtha is pregnant with very deep points, and such deep points will be explained and expounded in the Tatparya Chandrika. And whatever that has been not very clearly known or rather not very clearly explicitly told or explicitly explained, shall be explained here by Sri Vyastirtha in the Tatparya Chandrika. And all the adhikaranas shall be taken up and examined, all the sutras shall be examined one by one. The antagonistic schools will also be examined, particularly the school of Advaita, the school of Vishishtadvaita will be taken up for examination in the Tatparya Chandrika of Sri Vyastirtha. To know the greatness of Sri Vyastirtha's Tatparya Chandrika, we should like to know how exactly the adhikaranas shall be dealt with in the Tatparya Chandrika. There are many adhikaranas in the Brahma Sutras, and each adhikarana would deal with certain topics. There would be a Vishaya Vakya, the sentence which is considered for examination. Upon it, there would be a suspicion whether that particular sentence means this or that, whether it means the prior sense or rather it is the Siddhanta view, is the Sanshaya, or the suspicion, ambiguity, the factor of ambiguity. Then we have the prima facie view, that is the school of either the Advaita school of thought or the Vishishtadvaita, or either any other school of thought. And that prima facie view will be examined and refuted. And the Siddhanta view, that is the view of the Madhvacharya's Bhashya, which is hailed as the Hanumat Bhashya. It is Lord Hanuman himself who has authored this Bhashya, Sri Madhvacharya's Bhashya. Madhvacharya is none other than Hanuman himself. And the greatness of Madhvacharya's Hanumat Bhashya shall be expounded in the Siddhanta view. And the final Nyaya, the summarized version of the entire Adhikarana will be presented in the Tatparya Chandrika. To illustrate this with an example, let us see how the Guhadhikarana is being expounded in the Tatparya Chandrika of Sri Vyastirtha. The Guhadhikarana appears in the first Adhyayas, second Pada, and the beginning of the third Sutra. And this particular Adhikarana, the topic of discussion, deals with the Guha Pravishta element. We shall see what exactly is that. The sutra runs as follows. Om Guham Pravishtau Atmanauhi Tad Darshanat Om is the sutra. And this particular Adhikarana ranges for about 8 sutras or so. And this particular Adhikarana deals with a very important sentence of the Upanishad. Rutam Pibantau Supratasya Loke Guham Pravishtau Parame Pararthe Chaya Tapau Brahmavido Vadanti. So, in this particular sentence of the Upanishad, it has been told, literally it says, there are two things or two sentient beings who would experience the good deeds of a particular karma. And the two sentient beings would take or relish the good deeds of a particular karma. Now the question is, who are these two sentient beings? Whether it is Jiva, that is the individual soul, and the other one is Ishvara, or the supreme soul, and thus there is a dual case effects there, as Pibantau, Pravishtau, Chaya, Tapau. It's a case of Dvivachana, where two things are meant. So the question is, whether Jiva and Ishvara, that is the individual soul, and the supreme soul is meant here, or not. First of all, we should understand, Sri Madhvacharya's Bhashya very clearly says that it is Lord Hari alone who takes all the essence of the good deeds. All the essence or the blissful nature of the effect of the good deeds shall be relished by Lord Sri Hari alone. Although Lord Vishnu is complete in himself and stands in no need of any other further relish, it is out of Leela, that is, it is out of mere sport that the Lord takes and relishes the good deeds. That has been very clearly explained in the Gita Bhashya and elsewhere. Harihi Sarva Yajna Bhaga Haritvat. Sri Hari is the one who takes the fruit of all the yajnas. And hence, it is the he who takes the good deeds and relishes them. This has been told in the Gita Bhashya. And also in the Ishavasya Upanishad Bhashyam, in the very invocatory verse we find, Nitya Nitya Jagadhatre, Nityaya Gnanamurtaye, Purnanandaya Haraye, Sarva Yajna Bhuje Namaha. He is the one who relishes all the great deeds of yajnas. So, the Bhashya of Sri Madhvacharya is very clear on this sutra that even though the dual affix is used, it refers only to Lord Hari. But why is that dual affix being used? Sri Madhvacharya's Bhashya clearly says there are two forms of Vishnu, the Atma form and the Antaratma form. It should not be mistaken that the Atma form refers to the soul, individual soul. It doesn't refer to the soul, individual soul. It refers to the Atma, the regulatory form of Sri Vishnu, and it is not the identical with the individual self. It is quite distinct with it. So there are two forms of Lord Vishnu, Atma and Antaratma. And although there are two forms, out of his Achintya Adbhuta Shakti, the inexplainable nature of Lord Sri Vishnu, he is always identical with all his forms. There is no difference between them at all. The Tatparya Chandrika begins at this stage. The question is, the prima facie view goes in this way. The karma phala or the effect of the good deeds cannot go to the Supreme Lord at all, because the Supreme Lord is beyond all karma. He doesn't relish any karma at all according to the school of Advaita. He is beyond karma. So hence, there cannot be any relishment of the karma phala or the effects of the good karma by Vishnu. Is the first Purupaksha or the prima facie view that is dealt here. Along with that, the supportive argument for the prima facie view is that there is a repetitive use of the dual affix, that is the Pibantau, Pravishtau, Chaya, Tapau, has been very clearly used in the dual sense. So whenever the dual case affix is being used in the Sanskrit language, it refers to two people. So there should be two people and not one. Even if it is taken that the Supreme Lord is one who relishes it, there should be another person too who should be relishing it. So this is the prima facie view that is taken here. And to support this view, the Purupaksha or the prima facie view forwards many such arguments. For example, in the Mimamsa Adhikaranam, Saptadasha Prajapatyan Pashun Alabheta, it very clearly says that there are 17 in number. So whenever a number is being referred to, it should refer to many quantities and not identity, is the view of the prima facie view. Similarly, the dual case affix is used, and there is no reason to sacrifice this dual case affix for a secondary meaning according to the prima facie. Moreover, this cannot be taken as a secondary sense. It cannot be taken as a Uddesha Lakshana, because Uddesha Lakshana is a concept where in the Mimamsa, when a particular thing is, even though named as many, it can be taken as one. However, when it is enjoined, it cannot be taken as one. Even this is one of the view of the Purupaksha. And moreover, there is the use of the word Chaya, which refers to shadow of darkness. So the shadow of darkness refers to avidya or agnana or ignorance. And no such agnana or ignorance can stay in Parabrahma, who is always pure and ever shining, so Prakasha. Therefore, Chaya Tapu, Chaya cannot refer to Brahman at all, and there should be some other person, the individual self, who should be relishing this particular karma phala or the good deeds. So there should be both here, both the jiva, that is the individual self, as well as the Brahman who is relishing the particular karma phala, is the view of the prima facie. However, Sri Vyastirtha in his Tatparya Chandrika very clearly refutes both of this. First of all, Sri Vyastirtha says that this particular Shruti is a very clear evidence and a very clear reference to Guha Pravishtatva. That is, someone who is there in the cave of the heart. Someone who is the indweller in the cave of the heart. However, whenever the Upanishad refers to any particular being as present in the cave of the heart, it is not the individual self which is meant, but it is always the supreme self that is meant. For example, in the Guha, Yo Veda Nihitam Guhayam, Sri Vyastirtha quotes this in his Tatparya Chandrika. Yo Veda Nihitam Guhayam. One who is there as an indweller in the cave of heart. And such a person is none other than Lord Vishnu or Brahman. It cannot be the individual soul at all. Because the individual soul cannot be an inner force which propels itself. It cannot be independent. It cannot be an inner presence of itself. Similarly, Guhahitam, Gakvareshtam Puranam is another verse that is quoted by Sri Vyastirtha here. Here too, the ancient being who is there forever, unchangeable, and even without any Prakrita body or the material body, and such a being is Lord Vishnu alone, who is the indweller in the Guha or the inner cave of the heart. Similarly, Guham Pravishyatishthantam is another point, is another sentence that is being taken up. And even in this, it is very clearly told that it is Lord Brahman or Vishnu who is there in the inner chambers of the heart as the regulator. Therefore, for all this reason, one cannot take the sense of jiva or the individual soul here at all. And this is the masterly stroke of Tatparya Chandrika. The Tatparya Chandrika, which quotes from many other Shrutis, very clearly shows how exactly the Shruti has to be interpreted when given a word which is very important. The Guha Pravishtatva, being the indweller in the cave of the heart and regulating the individual soul, can never occur to the individual soul at all. It can only occur to the Supreme Brahman and none other. So this particular concept is very clearly explained in the Tatparya Chandrika. And moreover, Tatparya Chandrika notes that the word Brahma is very clearly used in this context. So whenever the word Brahma is used, Yaha Seturi Jananam Aksharam Brahmayat Param Ayam Abhayam Titir Shatam Param, and this very clearly shows this is the next sentence of this particular Vishaya Vakya. The whatever the sentence that is being examined here, the Guham Pravishtav sentence, further we find another sentence which actually speak about Brahman here. It very clearly says Brahmayat Param. So we should not take any sentence in isolation. Shri Vyasatirtha very clearly points out, no sentence should be interpreted in isolation. It should be interpreted in context, within the context of the given prakarana or the subject matter. So within the context we find another sentence which speak of Brahma, Brahma Tat Param. It very clearly shows that it is the Brahma and particularly the Parabrahma, as it says Param, that is being meant here, and it is not the individual soul at all. If it is taken in the sense of the individual soul, the word Brahma would be futile. Even if somehow the word Brahma is interpreted in the sense of the Jiva, or rather in the sense of the Saguna Brahma, it cannot hold, because Param is another word that is being used here, very clearly shows that it is the Parabrahma or the greatest Brahman which has to be taken here, and not the individual soul at all. And another word that is being very clearly used here is Setu. The word Setu is very clearly used here. Yesha Setuho Vidrutihi is another example that is quoted by Shri Vyasatirtha in Tatparya Chandrika. Whenever the word Setu is being used, we have to clearly understand it is as if a bridge to cross over the sufferings of the samsara. How do we cross over the sufferings of the samsara? It is Lord Vishnu alone who is the bridge to cross over the sufferings of the samsara. The individual soul cannot himself be the bridge. If he were the bridge, he would have crossed it much earlier. There would have been no necessity for any sadhana at all. Therefore, the word Setu very clearly indicates the means for liberation, and it is nothing but Parabrahma alone and none other things. Similarly, in the sentence, we find the word Akshara and Abhaya. Akshara very clearly refers to Lord Vishnu, who has no destructible body. All the individual souls are Ksharas. Ksharas Sarvani Bhutani is the verse that is being quoted from the Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, it very clearly says Ksharas Sarvani Bhutani. All the jivas, individual souls, are Ksharas. They have a destructible body. But Lord Vishnu has an indestructible body which is beyond all beings. So the word Akshara refers only to Vishnu and not to the individual self. Similarly, the word Abhaya is being used. So the word Abhaya very clearly shows one who is beyond all fear and one who takes away the fear of all beings. And this is being very clearly conveyed in the Vishnu Sahasranama. Bhayakrut Bhayanashnaha. We find the same thing in Venkateshwara Stotra also. Bhayakrut Bhayanashnaha. He imparts fear and he takes away the fear of the devotees. So this Abhayatva cannot be a quality of the individual soul at all. We find the same reference in the Upanishad as well, in the Ishavakya Upanishad. Tadejati Tannejati. And we find the verse where it clearly shows that he is not, the Lord is not afraid of anyone, but all others are afraid of him. Natad Debeti. The Lord is not afraid of anything, but every other thing are afraid of him. So, by all the supporting evidences, we can clearly show that it is Lord Vishnu that is meant here as the one who takes all the good deeds, and it is not the individual soul at all which has to be taken here. The next question is, how can there be Bhoktrutva? How can Lord Vishnu take all these good deeds is the next important question. Shri Vyasatirtha clearly shows that although he takes all the relishment of the good deeds, he is least affected in any way because of his Achintya Adbhuta Shakti. The word very Hari points this out. Harihi Sarvayagna Bhaga Haritvat. Sarataro Harihi. He is the one who takes all the relishment of the things. Raso Vaisaha is another important Upanishadic statement which clearly shows it is Lord Vishnu who takes the effect of all things. So Sri Vyasatirtha's Tatparya Chandrika is a very great unique work which shows how the other schools of thoughts have to be examined and how the greatness of Hanuman Bhashya has to be taken upon here, and it is for the liberation. So Sri Vyasatirtha's Tatparya Chandrika is an indispensable critical work of great intellectual acclaim and honor which has to be studied by all to understand the correct import of the Hanuman Bhashya of Sri Madhvacharya and the Tattva Prakashika of Sri Jayatirtha as well. So to conclude, how Sri Hari is the one who takes all the relishment of the all the delicious things or the saravat things of the world, we can remember the words from Jagannatha Dasarya's Harikatamrata Sara in the Bhojana Raja Vibhaga Sandhi. ವನಜ ಜಾಂಡದಳುಳ್ಳ ಅಖಿಲ ಚೇತನರು ಭುಂಜಿಪ ಚತುರವಿಧ ಭೋಜನ ಪದಾರ್ಥದಿ ಚತುರವಿಧ ರಸರೂಪ ತಾನಾಗಿ ಮನಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದುದ ದುಂದುಣಿಸಿ ಸಂಹನನ ಕುಪಚಯ ಕರ್ಣಕಾನಂದ ಅನಿಮಿಷರಿ ಆತ್ಮಸ್ವರೂಪ ಸುಖವನೀವ ಹರಿ. It very clearly shows Lord Sri Hari takes all the essence of the relishment and he imparts anugraha or the blessings upon the devotees. So Sri Vyasatirtha's Tatparya Chandrika is a magnanimous work, is a magnum opus which actually treats many aspects of philosophy and very rightly justifies the Hanuman Bhashya of Sri Madhvacharya. So by this we conclude a small treatment of how Sri Vyasatirtha's great work Sri Tatparya Chandrika can be understood in this way. I offer my salutations to my Guru and Sri Vyasatirtha, Sri Jayatirtha and Sri Madhvacharya. Sri Madhva Kalpavrakshastu Jayarya Kamadukspratah Chintamanistu Vyasaryo Munitre Mudiritam. श्रीमन्मद्वेषार्पणमस्तु श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यत्मना वा प्रकृतिस्वभावात् करोम्यत्र सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. श्रीमन्मद्वेषार्पणमस्तु श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु.